Most of our parents have drilled into our heads that owning a home is the ultimate ticket to the American dream, a symbol of stability and success. But what if that ticket is actually a one-way trip to financial hell? Why interest rates are hovering around 7%. Hidden costs like insurance and taxes have exploded by nearly 50%. And that asset you think you are buying, it is actually a liability that eats your paycheck, destroys your freedom, and leaves you house poor, while your bank account bleeds dry. And then you start thinking you are a failure. But here's the truth. You are not failing because you don't own a home. You are failing because you are playing a rigged game. In this video, we are going to expose the math that real estate agents don't want you to see, the hidden traps of the 2026 housing market, and exactly how to build wealth without drowning in a 30-year mortgage. I am Pot. Welcome to the new reality. Don't hesitate to give it a like if it's helpful to you. Let's go. Let's dive in. So, why do I say the game is rigged? To understand why you feel like you are losing, we need to look at the scoreboard. The scoreboard has changed drastically in just 5 years. Let's rewind to 2020 or 2021. It feels like a different lifetime, right? Back then, the average mortgage interest rate was sitting at a beautiful 2.7 to 3%. Money was practically free. If you bought a home, then you won the lottery. The median home price was around $300,000. It was affordable. It made sense. But fast forward to today as we kick off 2026. We are living in a completely different reality. The dust from 2025 has settled and the picture is ugly. Right now, mortgage rates are still hovering dangerously between 6.5 and 7%. That might not sound like a huge difference on paper, but in math, it is a massacre. Combined with home prices that have solidified over $415,000, the math is brutal. Here is what that actually means for your wallet. Because of these sustained rate hikes, your buying power has dropped by nearly 40% compared to just a few years ago. 40%. That means the same monthly payment that bought you a mansion 5 years ago now gets you a shoebox. In many cases, the monthly mortgage payment for the exact same house has literally doubled. Doubled. Yet did your salary double by the time 2026 rolled around? I doubt it. This is why you feel broke. This is why you feel like you are running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. The rule of thumb your parents used back in the 80s or 90s simply does not apply here. They were playing on easy mode. You are playing on legendary difficulty with no extra lives. But the high sticker price and the interest rates are just the tip of the iceberg. If you think that is bad, wait until you see the hidden costs that nobody talks about. The costs that sneak up on you after you sign the papers. Now, let's say you manage to scrape together a down payment. You beat the high interest rates. You think the hard part is over. Right, wrong. This is where the real nightmare begins. Welcome to the math of misery. You see, real estate agents love to talk about the mortgage payment, but in 2026, the mortgage is just the entry fee. The real killers are the hidden costs that have exploded while everyone was distracted by inflation. First, let's talk about the insurance crisis. This is not a joke. Due to climate change, storms, and wildfires, home insurance premiums have skyrocketed by 48% in just the last 5 years. If you live in states like Florida or California, you already know the pain. Major insurers are pulling out, leaving you with premiums that can jump from $2,000 to $4,000 a year overnight. Imagine budgeting for a monthly payment and suddenly getting hit with a bill that destroys your emergency fund. That is the reality. Second, get ready for the property tax surprise. Here's a dirty little secret: when you buy a house at today's inflated market price, the local government sees a payday. They reassess the value of your property. So the tax bill the previous owner paid? Forget it. Your bill could double after the first year. This is what we call payment shock. And it catches thousands of new buyers off guard every single year. The tax man does not care about your feelings. Third, and this is the silent killer, maintenance. A 2025 study by Zillow found that the average hidden cost of owning a home in the US has hit $15,979 a year. Let me repeat that. Nearly $16,000 a year. That is roughly $1,330 disappearing from your wallet every single month. When you rent, if the roof leaks or the water heater explodes, you call the landlord. It is their problem. When you own, it is your problem. You have to fix it with your after-tax money. And since most Millennials and Gen Z can only afford older houses that need work, you are basically signing up for a second job as a repairman. This leads to a terrifying condition called being house poor. You own a big asset on paper, but you have zero cash in the bank. You can't travel, you can't eat out, you can't invest for retirement because your house is eating your paycheck alive. Is it any wonder that 73% of homeowners now have regrets about their purchase? They bought the dream, but they are living in a financial prison. So buying seems like a trap, but renting must be the safe haven, right? Well, do not get too comfortable yet. The rental market has its own set of predators waiting for you. If you think renting in 2026 is a stress-free paradise where you just hand over a check and chill you're in for a rude awakening, the rental market has evolved into a sophisticated machine designed to extract maximum profit from you. The era of the nice old lady renting out her basement is dying. Enter the era of the corporate landlord. Today, huge corporations own massive chunks of the rental market, and they do not set prices based on what is fair. They use ruthless algorithms. Software like RealPage analyzes market data in real time to tell landlords exactly how high they can push the rent before you break. It is calculated to the penny to squeeze every last drop of profit from you. Negotiation. Forget it. You are arguing with a computer, and the computer does not care about your budget. But the base rent is just the start. Prepare yourself for the attack of the junk fees. To keep the listed rent price looking low, landlords have split basic services into mandatory extra fees. You might see a rent listed for $2,000, but then the fees start piling up. An administrative fee just to process your paperwork. An amenity fee for a gym you never use. A package locker fee just to receive your Amazon delivery. And my absolute favorite scam, valet trash. You are forced to pay $25 to $35 a month for someone to walk your garbage bag 20 feet to the dumpster. You cannot opt out. It is mandatory. It is basically a legal way to pick your pocket every single month. And finally, there is the instability factor. When you buy, your principal and interest are fixed for 30 years. But when you rent, you are at the mercy of the market every single year. In hot cities like New York or Miami, it is not uncommon to see rent hikes of 10 to 30% when your lease is up. Imagine your landlord knocking on your door and saying, "Hey, the algorithm says pay me an extra $500 a month or get out." That is the terrifying reality of renting. You have flexibility, sure, but you have zero control over your housing costs in the long run. So we have a generation trapped between a rock and a hard place. Buying is financial suicide. Renting is a minefield of fees. But here's the interesting part. Millennials and Gen Z are handling this war very differently. Now let's talk about the people on the front lines of this housing war. Because depending on when you were born, your strategy and your struggle look very different. First, let's pour one out for the millennials. If you are a millennial, you might feel like the universe has a personal vendetta against your bank account. You graduated during the Great Recession of 2008. Then, just as you started getting on your feet, the pandemic hit. And now you are facing the most expensive housing market in history. The numbers back up your pain. Millennials are now the largest generation, yet their home ownership rate is only 55%. At the same age, 70% of Gen X and 80% of boomers already owned homes. Why? Because millennials are carrying a crushing weight. Student loans. We are talking about $1.6 trillion in total debt. The average balance is nearly $38,000. It is like trying to swim with a concrete block tied to your ankle. But then we have Gen Z, and honestly, these kids are rewriting the rulebook. Instead of crying about the broken system, they are hacking it. Surprisingly, Gen Z is actually buying homes earlier than millennials did. The ownership rate for 27-year-olds in Gen Z is nearly 33%. How? By being ruthlessly pragmatic. They are not looking for the perfect dream home with a white picket fence. They are buying fixer-uppers, ugly houses that need work. They are also destroying the traditional idea of ownership. A staggering 59% of Gen Z are willing to buy a home with friends, not just a spouse. And they are huge fans of house hacking, buying a place living in one room and renting out the others to pay the mortgage. They treat the house like a business, not a trophy. However, there is a dark secret behind many of these young homeowners. A secret that Instagram influencers rarely talk about. It is called the bank of mom and dad. Data shows that a huge chunk of young buyers today are not doing it alone. They are getting help for the down payment from their parents. We are seeing a massive transfer of generational wealth, so if you are sitting there feeling like a failure because you cannot afford a home on your salary alone, stop beating yourself up. You are not competing against other workers. You are competing against other people's inheritances. So the system is rigged, the costs are hidden, and the competition is funded by family money. Is there any way to actually win this game without getting lucky? Yes, there is, and it requires a strategic escape plan. So the system is rigged and the odds are stacked against you. Does that mean you should just give up and live in your parents' basement forever? Absolutely not. You can still win this game, but you have to stop playing by the old rules. Here are 3 strategic pathways to escape the trap in 2026. Strategy number 1, become a smart forever renter. In major cities like New York, Los Angeles, or San Francisco, renting is mathematically superior to buying right now. The monthly cost of owning is often 50% higher than renting the same place, but here is the catch, and this is crucial. You only win if you are disciplined. If you rent and spend the extra money on cars and vacations, you lose. To beat the homeowner, you must take the difference between your rent and what a mortgage would cost and invest it religiously into the S&P 500 or a diversified portfolio. Historically, the stock market yields about 7 to 10% a year, often beating real estate appreciation once you factor in all those hidden costs we talked about. This is how you build wealth without the headache of fixing a leaking roof. Strategy number 2, house hacking. If you are dead set on owning, do not buy a single-family home for yourself. That is a liability. Buy a duplex or a house with extra bedrooms. Live in one unit or one room and rent out the others. Let your tenants pay your mortgage for you. This is how Gen Z is entering the market. They are sacrificing privacy for a few years to live for free and build equity. It is not glamorous, but it is financially brilliant. Strategy number 3, geographic arbitrage. This is the ultimate cheat code. If you have a remote job with a salary based in a high-cost city, do not spend it there. Move, pack your bags and head to the Sun Belt or the Midwest places like Ohio, Michigan, or Pennsylvania. In these markets, you can still find beautiful homes for a fraction of the price. You keep the New York salary but pay Ohio prices. That is instant wealth. So you have options. You can rent and invest, you can hack your housing, or you can move to a cheaper market. But to pull any of this off, you need to change your mindset about what the end goal actually is. So here's the bottom line for 2026. The question of rent or buy is no longer a simple true or false test. It is not about right or wrong. It is about survival and strategy. The market right now is brutal. It punishes anyone who buys based on emotion or fear of missing out. And it mercilessly squeezes renters who lack financial discipline. The biggest trap is not renting, and it is not buying. The trap is the ignorance of the hidden costs and the arrogance of thinking you can afford more than you actually can. For our generation, men between 25 and 45, we need to redefine what stability means. Stability is not a paper deed locked in a safe while you stress about the next electricity bill. Stability is cash flow. Stability is having 0 bad debt. Stability is having a portfolio that grows while you sleep, regardless of whether you own the roof over your head or lease it. Do not let your parents, your friends, or society bully you into signing a 30-year contract that makes you miserable. Sometimes the bravest and smartest financial move you can make is to stand still, to rent patiently to stack your cash, and to wait for the right opportunity rather than rushing into a race where the finish line is financial exhaustion. The American dream is not dead, but it has changed. Stop playing the old game. Start playing by your own rules. I am Pod. If this video opened your eyes, smash that like button and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, are you team rent or team buy? In 2026, I want to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. And I'm Pot Wall Street.